Hi, welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. My name is Cheryl. Today I'm going to be continuing with my gluten-free sourdough starter. Unfortunately, my first attempt at doing the gluten-free sourdough starter, I thought I was being a little impatient with it and I didn't think it turned out. So I ended up starting over. And I was a little more diligent this time and a little more patient, and I think I have it figured out. Yay me! So I did some pancakes yesterday, the sourdough with the sourdough starter, and they turned out. It's funny, I said we were going to have breakfast. I was going to make these sourdough starter, these pancakes with it, because I had started removing some of the discard and putting it into my jar again, and I had enough discard to actually make the pancakes. So I said I was going to make pancakes yesterday, and I started getting them ready to find out, well, they had to ferment. Once I mixed all the batter together and got it ready, well, then it had to ferment for 30 to 40 minutes, and which is a good reason why you should read through your recipe and know exactly what you need to do before you get started. So I have read, I'm doing a beginner loaf out of this book that I have, and I've read through it quite a few times. So I'm just going to get started, and we'll just taking you along with me, and we're going to learn together. So first I need, what does it have here? 30 grams of raw unsalted pumpkin seeds. So I bought some organic pumpkin seeds yesterday. I'm using my digital scale, and I've put on here, I've had this brand new coffee grinder, and I use it for grinding up different herbs. Well, today I'm going to grind up these pumpkin seeds. So I need 30 grams of pumpkin seeds, and then I'm going to grind them up. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put on my lid. That's the wrong way. Okay, ground up them, they're all ground up. So I have that ready. I'll unplug this. So now I need a large bowl, and I'm using, this is a Mixmaster bowl that I'm using because I will be putting this on my Mixmaster to blend this together. So I'm going to zero this. So next I need to get 70 grams of sorghum flour. I also went to the health food store and picked up some sorghum flour because I did not have any. So 70 grams, I've got it zeroed. There, now I have it zeroed. So 70 grams. I'm just going to put this down here. All right, 36, 51, getting close. 70 grams. Perfect. That's what I love about using this digital scale. It takes the guesswork out. After that, I need 70 grams of buckwheat flour. So I don't know how much that was going to be, but I'll put it just under 70 grams, probably at about 68 maybe. All right, 54, 66. There we go. I'm just going to stop there. Now I need 60 grams of rice flour. It says brown rice flour, but I've been using white rice flour this whole time. So I'm just going to keep continuing. Oh, I have to zero this before I forget. Okay, there we go. 60 grams of rice flour. I have 49. Probably don't need quite that much. There's 57, 59, 60. Okay, next I will put in the pumpkin seeds. There we go. That takes care of that. And tapioca starch. I need 75 grams of tapioca starch. I don't have tapioca starch, so I'm using potato starch, which is the same. So 75 grams. That's 66, 72, 73. So make sure I'm reading it properly. There we go, 75. Whew. Okay. And 8 grams of salt. I'm just putting in a sea salt. There's 7. There we go, 8 grams of salt. Okay, that's all I need to put in this mixing bowl. Now, I have another bowl, 350, I'll zero this, 350 grams of warm water. And I'm using the water out of my kettle, and I've heated that up. So, let's see where we're at. Yeah, just wanted to make sure it wasn't too hot. So, 350 grams of water. Warm water, that is. We're getting close. There we go, 350 grams of warm water and 30 grams of maple syrup at room temperature. I'll zero that. And then I ended up buying it's whole psyllium husks. And I need 20 grams of the psyllium husks. So zero that. I'm going to use a spoon because I don't trust myself when I have that bag. Okay, 20 grams. Okay. That's 8. It's pretty light stuff. It's very staticky too. My left hand, I have a tremor in my left hand, so if you're ever wondering why my hand is so shaky, that is why. Okay, I'm at 18, 19, 20. There we go. Okay, that takes care of the psyllium husk. And with this, I'm stirring in the psyllium husk to form a gel, and it says immediately whisk. So I'm just going to grab a whisk, the psyllium husk, to form this gel to prevent the lumps from forming. Then whisk in the levain and add this gel levain mixture to my flour blend. Okay. Now I'm going to get the levain. This levain I had to take, I had to put 100 grams of warm water and mix it with 50 grams of my starter. I think that's, I'm just going to look back just so you know what I'm doing. So I had to put, I had to take 40 grams of the starter, put that into a clean jar, then whisk in 50 grams of warm water. Then I add 20 grams of the rice flour and 20 grams of the buckwheat flour. And I did that this morning and got that ready. Then it had to sit for 6 to 8 hours. So I've been paying attention to the time, and now it's time to add this levain into this psyllium. So this is my new jar that I just did up this morning with starter, and it has risen a little bit on the top, and that's exactly what I want. So now I'm going to put this into with the psyllium husk and the maple syrup. And I'm going to whisk that into this mixture. And I'm going to put all of it in here. Okay. Once I get it all out of the jar, then I'll whisk it in with my psyllium husk, my warm water, and maple syrup. I really love this little gadget wooden tool I bought. I've been using it the whole time. I bought it so I could designate that to doing my sourdough. It said actually to have a designated wooden spoon, and I just like the way it's curved. So I'm whisking that together with my psyllium husk and warm water and maple syrup. Now I'm going to add this mixture to my flour blend. And I'm just going to give this a little stir to blend this up too, before I add this levain mixture into my dough, into my flour. Okay, so now I'm going to add this to my flour blend. And my mixer here was my mom's, so hopefully it still works good because I have not used it in years. Okay, I'm gonna bring this to over here. Fingers crossed that this mixer still works. I've got my dough beaters on here for mixing up dough, and I'm just going to turn that on. Not sure what's going on. Use my hands. Just have to take my rings off first. Okay. Get this all mixed in. Not yet. I don't have to put any starter in yet. I just have to mix this. It said you could mix it by hand too, so I'm gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. It's mixing in pretty good. So that's good. Oh, and the pancakes were actually really good. We just plain pancakes. My son, he has maple syrup on his pancakes because it's a part of his gluten and dairy free. He can't have regular pancake syrup, so he has pure maple syrup. So I always have maple syrup on hand. And then this morning I cooked up some bacon from the bacon from our pigs, and I had scrambled eggs, and that's the eggs from our chickens. So it was a really good breakfast this morning too. Yesterday, sourdough starter pancakes, and today was bacon and eggs from our property. Unfortunately, we can't raise pigs anymore, which is perfect because I have to take my son to the theater. He's going to watch a movie at our local theater, and he's watching The Beekeeper. He was telling us about it last night. We were playing Catan, and he was telling us that he wanted to watch this. Okay, let me take a look, see what I have to do next. I have them fully incorporated. I need to form the dough into a ball and then place it into a proofing bowl, cover the bowl with a lid, and then transfer the bowl into the oven and let it rest in the oven for 30 to 60 minutes. So I am going to transfer, no point in washing my hands yet. So I'm going to transfer it into this pottery bowl, which I specifically bought for. I'm just going to put it into a ball. I see one pumpkin seed didn't get ground up very good. It looks pretty whole actually. So I'm going to put this into the bottom of my bowl. And then I'm going to cover it and put it into my oven with the light on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, the book says to take my dough, and I'm going to take it from the oven because it's been an hour, and it said 30 to 60 minutes, so it's been an hour, and I'm going to take it from the oven, and now I'm going to put it in the fridge because then it's going to sit in the fridge overnight. Hi, so I'm back and I'm still been trying to figure out this gluten-free sourdough starter and to be able to make a bread. I think this is my third attempt to try and do this. So I've did the levain where I had to ferment the starter. I took so much of the starter, put it into a clean jar, added more warm water, added more of the white rice flour and also of the buckwheat flour as well. Let that ferment in my oven with just the light on. And so, I mean, it's a process and you need 3 days of planning. This is what I've come to grips with. So when I did the dough the last time, I found that all of last week I had no time to be able to do this dough after work. And that's the real kicker, is because I'm working every day, Monday to Friday, and I work 5.5 hours a day, and then I'm busy after work. Either I'm picking up or dropping my son off. We are also busy with Special Olympics bowling. I just have other things going on. I joined pickleball. I have a lot of other stuff going on during the week. So I've tried to plan this better over the weekend. So I have my dough, I let it ferment, I've made the dough, and so now we're moving on to the part where I'm actually going to knead my dough. I need a wet surface to be able to have the dough on a wet surface. I need to wet my hands, and that way then the dough won't stick to my hands as much. So I've been trying to read and absorb everything that I need to do. So I'm just going to move the camera down so you can see what's going on. Okay, so I have a bowl of water here as well, and I'm going to wet the surface. Just cup some water, and our counter is a quartz counter, so it's a very smooth finish. And then I'm going to wet both my hands. I'll take my towel off. I put some plastic wrap over it as well, because it's said to put it into a container with a lid. Well, I don't have that. Okay, so now I'm going to start kneading this dough. And I hope it turns out. Like, I just have struggled with trying. And I'm supposed to knead this for 2 to 3 minutes. So, and then I'm going to knead that in I'm dusting it with a light dusting of the white rice flour, and then I'm going to knead it for another minute. My sister, she does regular sourdough, and even with regular sourdough, she says you need a 2-day window of being able to plan for your dough to make bread. She's made bagels with her sourdough starter. She's done some crackers with hers. And when it said to sprinkle a little white rice flour on the dough surface, then repeat the kneading process for about 1 minute. you've worked with the gluten-free sourdough and you've made bread and you have any helpful tips or tricks on how to maybe let me know if what I could be doing differently. Am I doing something wrong? And then I was supposed to take it in my hands and shape it into a ball. So I'm going to shape this into more of a loaf. So what I've done is I've put the dough into this banneton, and the banneton is this type of basket. It's specifically made for holding bread dough in it. And then I've lined it with one of my flour sack towels. And then I added white rice flour underneath inside the liner inside the basket. I sprinkled white rice flour in there. And then it says to put it in a reusable plastic bag, and then I'll be putting it in my oven with just the oven with the light on so that it can, got flour everywhere, so that it can proof and rise. So I'm gonna get my plastic bag and I'm just going to put it inside this bag, and I think that should work. I got flour everywhere. And then what I'll do is I will just clip this side. I have some little clips. Or some big clips. But I will just clip this. It said to put it in a reusable bag, plastic bag. So I'm going to clip that closed. And then I'm just going to put it in my oven to proof. So I have the bottom, I'm using the bottom oven, and that's what I do to do any of the proofing for my sourdough. I do have sourdough starter in here at all times. And so I'm just going to add my bread in there. And now I have it in that oven for 3 to 5 hours until I know that it's doubled in size or has risen quite a bit. And then here's big if it does, then I'll bring you back and I'll show you what I do after that. I'm so hoping this works because I've just been struggling with the timing. I made them this morning, so here are my gluten-free sourdough discard. This is what I use the starter that I discard from the starter, and I put it in the fridge, which I have quite a bit of discard that I've collected. So this morning I made pancakes, and the recipe makes 7 pancakes. My husband had 3, I had 2, and there was 2 left over. So I'll have those tomorrow morning for breakfast. But I'm gonna start looking at some of the other recipes in this cookbook that you can use for that starter. I've seen crackers, pizza dough, different like dessert type dough things that you could make. I think I've seen cinnamon buns too. So I'm gonna kind of play around with some more things with the starter discard and see what kind of time frame I have to do to use those recipes and do them up, using up some of that discarded sourdough starter that I have in the fridge. It's been 3.5 hours since I put my gluten-free sourdough into the oven to do its proofing, and I had put it in a resealable bag. That was the suggestion in the cookbook. And I just want to show you Look at that. It has rose up. This is exciting. I'm very excited about this. So I'm going to take my little clip off, and I'm taking it out of, look at that. Look at that. This is my gluten-free sourdough. So what I need to do is I need to get a piece of parchment paper. When the dough has proofed enough, it will have risen and feel soft, puffy, spongy on the sides and the center. And I did push on it, and it definitely feels puffy and spongy. So now we move on to the next step. And I will be baking this in a Dutch oven. So I have to turn my oven on to 450 with the Dutch oven inside. So I gotta pick which Dutch oven I'm going to use. You have to pick one, and you are baking it with the lid on. So this one should work. It's gonna just fit. So I'm going with this one here. Okay. Now it says, cut some parchment paper for the dough to sit on. Place the parchment paper on top of the dough, which should still be in the banneton. Flip the banneton upside down so the parchment paper is underneath to hold the dough, and remove the banneton. Sprinkle on some white rice flour on the dough, then evenly spread the flour around the top of the dough with your hands. Then I'm going to score a design in the top of the dough. So I need my white rice flour. I'm going to flip this over like that. And then I'm going to this is the banneton that I bought. It's an oblong one. You can get round ones, but I haven't been able to find one. I got this one at Winners, and I think it costed me $17, I'm gonna say. But they're a lot more than that now. And then I'm going to take my towel off. There's my dough. It's going to turn that so you can see. This is so exciting. Okay. Oh, I got to turn my oven on to 450, and I have to put this in there with it heating up. Make sure my racks are, so 450. And I'll get that heating up. Okay. So I've got that heating up. I've got my parchment paper. I've got it flipped upside down. I removed the banneton. Now I'm going to sprinkle some white rice flour on the dough and evenly spread the flour around the top of the dough with my hands. Okay. And I have to put it on the sides as well. Some little cracks in here. That might be some of my design. Obviously, it will be a part of my design. So you can score this dough with, and I have a bread lane, and it also came, my husband got me this for Christmas, and this is for cutting designs in your sourdough. And I've never used this before, so this is all new for me. Okay, so it doesn't have, I need to put on one of these razors. Jamie to help me put this razor on because I was a little intimidated by the razor. I thought I might cut myself. So I'm going to cut a design. It's not going to be anything fancy because this is my first time. So I'm just going to do some lines across on a diagonal. Pretty sharp, so it's doing pretty good. So I just did 4 lines across on a diagonal, and then I'll go on this other side, kind of like going in the other direction across. And I've got my Dutch oven in the oven heating up. So you have to put it in the oven to heat up with the Dutch oven in there. And then I'm going to slip this little cover over top. I got one little piece stuck in here. There we go. I'm just going to put that over top for protection. That way nobody has to worry about cutting themselves. Put this back into the box and put my little razors. These are just 4 more extra razors. And I'll put this back into the box. Another thing I wanted to show you that my husband got me for Christmas, pick that up, was he got me these bread bags. And they're reusable bread bags. And these are great for using if you're going to be doing sourdough bread. So it has a reusable bread bag. These are, it has here you can use it for shopping, bread storage, freezer safe, and machine wash safe as well. And then it has a zipper on the top here, and there's a plastic coating inside. So once your bread is baked, you'll slip it into this bag and it will keep your bread from drying out. And it came with 2 of these bread bags, which we only have a couple more degrees. Okay. So I'm going to open my oven. And I have to, maybe what I'll do is I'll bring the Dutch oven over here like this. That way I can take the lid off. And then I'm going to grab the bread on the parchment paper. Trying to figure, oh, here we go. Grab the 4 corners, and I'm going to slide it into my Dutch oven. And then I'm going to put the lid back on. in the oven. And I set my timer for 25 minutes. At that temperature for 25 minutes, now I've reduced the oven temperature to 400, and I'm going to take the lid off of the Dutch oven. Put this over here. And we'll take a look. Looking good so far. Okay, so now put it back in the oven, and it's going to bake for an additional 35 minutes. Turned my oven down to 350, and I'm going to be taking the bread out of the Dutch oven, and then I'll be putting it right on the rack on the parchment paper. Okay. So there we have the bread, and then we'll put it in the oven for another 10 minutes. Hi, so we're back. It's the next morning. I did finish making my bread, the gluten-free sourdough bread, and here it is. This is it. It's all finished. Got my little pattern cut in there. After I took it out of the oven for after the last 10 minutes, when I took it out of the oven, it had to cool for 2 hours, and it was already 9:30. And I have to be up early to be at work this morning, so I just decided I would wait. And I'm having some scrambled eggs, actually, with a bit of red onion in it, and then topped with smoky bacon tomato nutritional yeast. I like to put nutritional yeast on my eggs because it as well is good for your digestion. So I'm just making up some eggs, scrambled eggs. I'm going to slice up some of this bread. Slice another slice. I'll put this second slice in the toaster. So there you go. It's got some nice grainage holes to it, and I'm going to toast this second piece up in the toaster to have with my eggs. Just going to give my eggs another little stir here. Put my toast down. I'm going to just butter this other piece and give it a little taste. Probably would have been better if it was still warm, but like I say, it's all about timing. And you just have to make sure you read through the recipe 3 days in advance or even a week in advance. Plan this out. Like for me, I only have my weekends to really be an amount of time to be able to do this. So let's try it out. You can definitely taste that sourdough taste to it. It's moist. I mean, it's an end piece and it's been sitting overnight. Would have been definitely better when it was warm. It was definitely worth the wait. It definitely took me long enough to be able to do this, but my next piece, I'm toasting it and I'm going to be putting butter on that and having that with my eggs, so I'm sure it'll be absolutely great. I'm going to save the rest of this. Okay. The rest of this, and I'll have it with my eggs. Anyways, I just want to thank you so much for your patience. I've had to have a lot of patience doing this. Like I say, once I get the timing right, it did work. At least it worked this time. I didn't have to throw it out. So there's my toast. Anyways, thanks for joining me, and I'm sure I'll be making more gluten-free sourdough recipes in the near future. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.